Hi, this is DJ Tina, host of HMTV Canada E-Zine. On the phone with me today is a unique band called Swirl. Hi Swirl, how's your summer been?
It's been great. This is DT, the guitar player from Swirl. Summer has been a whirlwind of activity for the band, but it's been very, very good for us too.
Can you tell us about the CD you're producing currently?
We're working on a CD right now. It's pretty much recorded. I think there's a little bit of mastering left to do with it. We went into the studio over the summer with Fred Corey, the drummer from Cinderella, and tracked 2 new songs. Those songs are called Adrenaline and Sleepwalker, and Fred was gracious enough to not only produce those songs and mix them for us. Actually, he ended up mixing the entire record that we're putting out, or the release we're getting ready to put out. But he actually tracked the drums for those 2 songs as well. So Cinderella fans have kind of gotten a little bit of a buzz going about the fact that Fred's recorded on a couple songs for us too, which is kind of nice. He didn't have to go that far with it, but it was cool of him to do. We're adding those to some songs that were recorded earlier and that have been remixed. And Fred, like I said, did the mixing up for everything we're going to be producing and releasing real soon. And it's just been awesome. The reaction has been great ever since I think about the middle of June when we uploaded the 2 new tracks to our MySpace site.
How did you land the opportunity to work with Fred Curry, the drummer of Cinderella, and Carlos Cavasso, guitarist for Quiet Riot?
Well, Carlos I've known for years. He's a good friend of mine, and it turned out that when I had Swirl in Southern California recording a few years ago, he came by the studio to listen to what was going on and decided he liked the demos so much, he was like, hey man, I have some time off, do you want to make a record? And so I said, okay, fine, let's go ahead and turn this into a full-blown deal. And so he went ahead and produced, I think we ended up doing 13 songs with him. And then there was a little bit of a break in the action. Myself and Brian, Swirl's drummer, are related. He's my brother, and our father passed away. And so when that happened, it kind of took me for a little bit of an emotional dip for about a year and a half or so. And so I didn't really feel like playing. I didn't do much to produce the band or move the band forward or anything like that. And I got a phone call from Claude Schnell, of all people, talking to me about getting back into Claude Schnell being the keyboard player from Dio, the guy who did the infamous, or the very famous, very cool Rainbow in the Dark keyboard line. He called me up and told me about another project that he was working with that had just parted ways with their guitar player. And with that, he wanted to know if maybe I would step in and do some writing and recording with them. And during the course of all of that, Fred Corey came into the picture, offered to do some remixes of the stuff that was done with Carlos, and we liked the way that worked out so well that after spending a little bit of time working on this other project that Claude Schnell had brought me to, we went back into the studio and brought the singer from that other project along with us, and that's how we ended up getting Fred to work on the new material that we have now.
Sorry to hear about your father dying.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, not that my father is any more important than anyone else's father, mind you, but, obviously for me it was a very big deal. It was a pancreatic cancer situation, and it just kind of crept up on us, and I think we had maybe 4 months from the diagnosis to when he actually died, and so, that whole time was spent, fighting and doing treatments and trying to beat this thing. And it was pretty exhausting to try and do that and have it not work out. So like I said, it just became a really, let me put it this way, I was not prepared for that outcome. I thought we were going to end up winning this thing and beating it and all that good stuff, and it just didn't work out that way.
Has there been any challenges in recording, mixing, and mastering your current CD to date?
No, that's the great thing about working with those guys when they produce your stuff. They make it very easy because you get to draw on their experiences. Fred Corey has sat next to Andy Johns, and Andy's produced some of the greatest records in rock history. And so he has sat there and guided us through things. Been very cool about, sometimes he'll say, okay, here, I want you to do this, and you'll be playing a part. And I know for me personally, there was a couple of times where he had me tracking a guitar line, and I'm not really understanding what it is he's wanting me to do. I mean, I'm recording the part the way he's telling me to do it, but I'm not hearing how it fits with what we've already got done or the direction we're taking the song. You go back and you listen to the final mix, and you listen to the parts. You hear the parts that were recorded, and you go, oh, okay, that's what he was getting across, which is all comes with the experience that, you know, that he's been able to garner from his 23 years in the business or whatever. Cinderella sold a record or two here and there, so, you know, he knows a little bit about how to do that. And with Carlos, it was the same thing. I mean, you know, there was a time when, you know, there was a year when nothing was bigger than Quiet Riot's mental health album. So, you know, he's been there, done that. He's seen it all. He's done quite a number of records himself, not only with Quiet Riot, but with his other projects. And so for them to lend that kind of experience to what we're doing, it just made the whole process very smooth, very easy. Quite a lot of fun. Definitely an experience that, you know, I recommend for any band, as long as you open yourself up to the idea of letting someone produce your stuff. Don't get, you know, too close to it that, you know, you're not willing to let that outside ear come in and go, oh, let's change this or let's change that to make things better.
With catchy songs, Adrenaline, Controlled Emotions, and Sleepwalker, that has been creating a huge buzz in the media. Which most requested song is popular among the list of internet radio stations mentioned in your MySpace blogs, which is www.myspace.com/swirl?
Well, you know, those three have been really great for us. I'd say that Adrenaline has been the overwhelming favorite song by people. It's the first thing that catches people's attention, just from the song standpoint itself, and it's just, you know, it blows me away because I remember back in middle of June we uploaded those tracks, and I think at that point the MySpace site, which is myspace.com/swirl SWIRL. I think we had maybe 21,000 hits or something like that, and I remember just yesterday. Actually, I take that back. Just 2 days ago, we had crossed the 50,000 hit mark as far as visits on our website. I think when we put those two tracks up, we had like maybe 162 friends. You know, nothing to sneeze at, but certainly nothing, you know, to stop the presses over. And then, you know, as of today, you know, we have like 7,500. Like 7,500 friends, you know, so, you know, in the course of what is it now? Almost September 1st, June. It's been 2.5 months. In 2.5 months, we've had nearly 30,000 hits. We've gained over 7,000 friends. You know, we've gotten over 10,000 plays of our stuff. Internet radio is picking it up. FM stations are starting to pick it up and requesting CDs, so we're getting some things burned just so that we can start getting FM stations to start playing us as well. I mean, it's just been an overwhelmingly fun process to watch people respond that well to anything that we've done. So that's been good, and with those two new tracks up on our site and people liking those, it's exposed some of the older songs that we've done to people who have now gone back and listened to it. Thought, you know, this is an all-encompassing body of work now that people are really kind of latching onto, and we're excited about that.
Curious, will you be producing any music videos in the future from your recent song tracks, Adrenaline?
Well, that's certainly the hope. That is certainly the hope. I mean, we're not at all opposed to it. We are looking for a label at the moment, and that's one of the things that we would hope a label would help do for us. So, you know, we're not opposed to it. We even got, you know, when you're sitting there and dreaming about things, you know, you've got storylines for what you think you might want your video to be about, but, you know, so, you know, it's very much in the works in terms of something we'd love to do. I'd love to sit right now and say, yeah, we're in the process of it. I can give you a date for when the video will be done, but it's just not that far along yet, unfortunately. But all things in their own time.
What do you look for in a record label?
The first thing, having talked to so many people that have been there, done that, and hearing their horror stories as well as their good things about different labels, you know, the very first thing is that they have an understanding of what the vision is that we have for Swirl, and they're on board with that, so they don't want to change what we're about, what we're trying to accomplish. Aside from that, having the funds on hand to support our ventures, you know, shooting videos, giving us tour support, helping to create merchandise for us, manufacture merchandise for us, so that we can get out there and continue to promote the band. I mean, we toured before as an indie band, and we did quite well with it. I mean, we toured for 2.5 years, and we played 31 states, I think, in the U.S., and then we went over to Japan and played. So we've had some success as an independent band, which has been nice. But you really, even as an indie, even if you're working with an indie label, having the distribution and the funds behind it to help push things out, to help you get the exposure, that's what we're looking for. We just simply don't have the funds on our own to make that happen. Internet has been great for us because we've still been able to get out and promote ourselves, but to buy onto the tours the size of the ones that we'd like to be on to get us that kind of exposure, we're just not financially capable at this point.
True. A lot of the bands today are in the same boat.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough right now, but the really good thing about it is so many people are able to write and create some really great, amazing music, and get it out there, even if it's getting it out strictly through internet. But there's that saying that you have the whole world like 3 feet from your face. Why not take advantage of it? And I know for us that's been the case. I mean, I spend time writing people in Greece and the United Kingdom, over in Japan. Japan we've been to, but that was a while ago, and it's hard to keep those connections going with people if you're not constantly going back there. Mm-hmm. But this has afforded us a way to keep communicating with people in other places that normally wouldn't know a thing about us, and so that's nice to have happen. So it's good that you're getting that kind of reaction now. But when you do that, of course, it comes the inevitable question: well, when am I going to get a chance to see the band live? And that's when we're like, okay, well, we need to get out and we need to get on some tours and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So we're working to that end. We have a couple offers already that we're looking at doing. Some of them require some funding from a label in order to legitimately make them happen. But it's nice to be in a position where other people are realizing how the world, for lack of a better way to say it, is responding to our material, and so we're at least being looked at and getting some offers to go on some pretty big tours right about now, which is nice. We expect to be out in the fall.
Cool. Will Ant Farm, Sweet Love, and Out of Nowhere, your old tracks, appear on your new CD?
Yeah, the remix versions that Fred did, those will be there, absolutely. I mean, they're great songs to play live. They're a lot of fun. And a song like Out of Nowhere, the high harmonies are actually Carlos from Choir Ride singing. So, which I give him, crap about all the time. I mean, it's fun. Those songs will certainly be on the CD.
Who writes Swirl songs, and what do you express in your lyrical content?
Well, I mean, I write the majority of the music, or I should say at least I'll come up with the riffs that begin things, because I play guitar, and so a lot of our songs will start from a guitar riff. And then my brother and I will work on, how we want the groove to be, and this, that, and the other. As far as the lyrical content goes, I mean, my basic writing philosophy has always been that, we might meddle a little bit in each other's waters. When I say we, I mean myself and the singer, in terms of, I have an idea, and this is kind of what I want you to sing it about, or whatever. And certainly when I'm playing a guitar line, if the vocalist is going, hey, that's kind of cool, but how about if you do this? So we get a little bit into each other's waters and into each other's ability to create, but not a whole lot. So I really don't, with the exception of the tracks Nelly and Sail Away, which are not available online at the moment. I don't really get into too much lyrically because it's like I don't tell you what to sing, you don't tell me what to play. So that because what I play is part of my expression, and I expect the singers to feel the same way, and so I tend not to try and steer them in a direction. I want you to sing about this, or I want you to deliver a song this way. I mean, I'd rather it be that person delivering the material the way they feel it, because that's what I do on my instrument. And as a band, we want to make sure that it's certainly a band. Everybody's contributing and bringing something to the table. And I just think you kind of take away from everybody's creativity a little bit when you dictate what they should be doing.
I have a question from our street team, and they asked, how does the yin-yang symbol in Swirl's logo represent the band's name?
Well, I mean, when the band started, I mean, well, we used the black and white yin yang. I mean, it's a half black, half white. There's two black guys, two white guys, part of the band. And much like I was talking about, with regard to the way we write, you notice in that yin yang, even on the predominantly white section, there's a little black dot in there. In the predominantly black section, there's a little white dot in there. So there's a little bit of meddling into the other side. But, which is kind of what we're about. It all works. It's all uniformly. We don't get out with a very heavy hand as far as the message goes and preach about, unity and everyone should get along and the end of racism and all that. I mean, we don't write songs to that end. We're more of a watch and just see what we do kind of thing, rather than preach and talk about it. We just all seem to get along really well. We celebrate and are very proud of the differences between us all, but it doesn't keep us from being the band that we are and creating the music, and that's, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing about it, and no one person is bigger than the band. So it's just been very good for us that way. Now, there have been some trials and tribulations in coming to that realization. There have been some personnel changes and all that good stuff, but you learn and you grow, and still the band perseveres, and that's, to me, the most important thing.
Brings me to my next question. With the current lineup, Alfred Ramirez on vocals, yourself, D.T. Jones on guitar, and Brian Bam Bam Jones on drums, has these members been with Swirl for 10 years, or has Swirl gone through many lineup changes since then?
Well, the thing of it is Brian and I have been together with this project since the beginning. Alfred came on board basically over the summer, and so I wouldn't say there's been many lineup changes. There's been a few, but on our previous recordings, we always had Matt Thor, who was the engineer on the sessions that we did with Carlos Cavazzo. Now, Matt was the original bassist in Rough Cut. He has since gone on to become an amazing engineer, so much so that he's even earned a Grammy nomination. But he has been great to the band, and he has always recorded the bass tracks for us. So we've never had to have a dedicated bass player. We've had people, like I said, we toured for 2.5 years, so we had a bassist that was touring with us, which was great, but it wasn't a full-on band member. And only recently, with the new material, we had another guy come in, and he actually is Joe Lester. He plays bass for the band The Atomic Punks out in Los Angeles. So I think he's a Van Halen tribute band. He recorded the bass lines for Sleepwalker and Adrenaline. Again, not a band member, just a guy who was brought in by Fred, actually, to record the bass tracks. Worked out great. But since then, we've kind of come to the feeling that the bassist that we've started working with, his name is Shane Carlson, is probably going to be a guy we have around for a while. I mean, we've certainly already invited him to join the band. He said yes. We've been rehearsing with the intention of getting out and touring and all that good stuff. And I love working with him. I love his energy. I love his creativity. So it's beginning to feel like a band as a whole, as opposed to myself and Brian. And now with Al, it was feeling very good as a threesome. But we got to have that bass player in there. And now I think we've found that guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's exciting and it's fun. Because he's got a lot of energy. Shane has a lot of energy. Shane sings really well. So it helps to bring everything that we're doing musically to the next level, and it's going to make the shows that much more exciting because we are a pretty fun live band. I mean, there's a lot of energy involved in what we do. We're always running around and trying to engage the crowd, and there's not a lot of standing there looking at the tops of your shoes.
That's what we can expect from the live shows?
It's about getting out and entertaining people and large numbers of people and getting their attention. And, I don't care if you're in the front or if you're in the back. I mean, we want to party with everybody and have a good time when we're on stage. So
basically that's a taste of what your live shows are all about?
Yeah, okay. Very much so. A lot of energy, everybody's singing along, people are getting into the vibe, dancing and carrying on and, jumping up and down and headbanging and, there's a nice circle of energy between the band and the crowd and a lot of sweat and a lot of love in the room. That's just kind of the way we do things.
Do you sell CDs at your live shows?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's cool. Do you have any upcoming shows?
No, nothing that we are releasing in terms of, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and post dates, show dates, and or tour dates. You know, it's kind of like I said before, we are negotiating a couple different tours right now. We're being looked at for a few of them. It's basically the end of August, start of September. I suspect that by October, the latest, we will be on the road, which we are very much looking forward to. So if you go, just hit up our MySpace site, the myspace.com/swirl, SWIRL. Keep drifting back there, checking out the tunes, and know that as soon as we have committed to a tour, then yeah, all those tour dates will be on there, and then we will have the CD available, and we will see everybody on the road finally. It's been too long, and we're looking forward to getting back after it.
When you say the tour dates, when you decide you're going to commit to a tour, is it going to be U.S. and Canada, or just strictly U.S.?
We don't have limitations. I mean, the band's already been to Japan. Okay, I will say this. Our limitations are basically going to be whatever tour that we're initially on, what the routing is for that tour, and then what we can afford to do. But we're not opposed to going anywhere. I expect to be in Canada. I love the country. I want to go there. I think it'll be awesome. So, I'm sure the reaction will be strong there as well. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to going to the UK. It'll be a first-time thing. I'm looking forward to going back to Japan. One of the tours that we're looking at is a world tour. So if we get that one that's been offered to us and can figure out, a way with sponsorship to make that happen and jump on that world tour and accept that whole thing, then it will be literally that, which means Canada is included.
Awesome. With the way the music industry is going today and so many unknowns and what's become of it, what's your opinion of where the music industry is going to be in the future, and what do you think needs to change?
Well, it's funny. I was talking a little while ago with Clark Snow about this, and he was telling me, and I kind of adopted his take on it. It's getting nearly impossible to just control your music once you put it out. Because everything, once you put it out there. Because with MP3s and with the internet, it can get away from you so quickly that everybody can download your things, and all of a sudden you lose money-making capabilities, or you can, if you're trying to keep... It's hard to find that balance of getting your music out there for people to go ahead and hear it and learn about you, and then also make money with the selling of your music. And to the point where I wouldn't be surprised, really, if you didn't just make music and for lack of a better way to say it, you didn't just give it away. Because the people will tell you whether or not what you've written is worth it. Now, the way you make money and still, have a career is you continue to make good music to the point where people keep coming back and wanting to know what you're about, and then you make sure that you are entertaining when you see them live, and you have some, really interesting and fun merchandise for them. That, I think, you can kind of keep control over that much easier than the music itself. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't get to the point where, you didn't just make songs, and because the recording process is becoming such a quick thing to do. For instance, Adrenaline and Sleepwalker were tracks that were done in 5 days, start to finish, from the ground up.
Wow.
So, you're not spending weeks and months in a studio trying to record songs anymore, because technology has made it so that you don't have to do that. So it's such a quick thing now that it wouldn't surprise me at all if it went that way. You go in and you record your songs, you put your songs out there. But then I personally, I'm a big fan of if it does go that way, because I love being on stage, I love entertaining, I love the live aspect of things. So I think musicians that can thrive in that area will be fine.
Before we wrap up our interview, can our audience access your music to purchase Swirl songs, tracks online, or any Swirl merchandise from your MySpace page or our main website?
Well, we are using the MySpace as our main website, and by all means, we do have tracks available. Adrenaline and Sleepwalker, the two new Fred Corey played on and mixed singles, are available for download. We have right through our Snowcap account, which is, you go right to our MySpace site, and you can buy the tracks there. We have begun the iTunes process and expect to have our songs available through iTunes probably within another month or so, which will be nice. So, yeah, things are available. By all means, hit up our website appreciate it. And, pick up some music and let us know what you think.
For sure. Thank you, DT, for allowing our e-zine to interview Swirl. I look forward to your CD coming out and having the physical CD in my hands. That's what I want, and hopefully I can get that in the future.
Well, we look forward to having that too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We definitely want to produce the physical CD. So, that's, come on, it's a band. It's, bands are full of egos, and the egos are, our egos are such. Yeah, we'd love to have a CD that we can hand people, that people can bring to us, and we can show. Hey,
I'm hoping to grab one at your live shows.
It's nice to be able to get your stuff out now, like I said, through internet and MP3 and all that. But having a physical CD that you can hold up and go, yep, this is all us, and this is what we do. Something tangible. Yeah. We want and expect we will have that. We had it before. We will have another one available.
Well, when you're touring through Canada, I hope to actually go to a concert and grab that CD then and say, I've been there. I seen this band in concert, and brag about it to all my friends.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we will certainly keep in touch, and we will let you know when we're coming through, and I would hope and expect you would be there.